Let's go to Pule Mabe now. The ANC, of course, a two-day Lekgotla currently underway virtually. The meeting follows the party's National Executive Committee meeting, which took place on Thursday and Friday. So the Lekgotla will reflect on service delivery, unemployment and economic recovery, amongst other issues, at the back of the ANC's January 8th statement. So while officials, of course, are gathering virtually, there's still much talk around the exchange between the Presidency and the Tourism Minister Lindiwe Sisulu over her recent article. Let's talk to Pule Mabe now. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Mabe, on the program here on SABC News. Top of the agenda, service delivery, unemployment, some of the things South Africans are concerned about. Are those key priorities for the year ahead?
Yes, of course, Crisilda. Evening to your viewers. We did have the National Executive Committee, the first ordinary National Executive Committee of the African National Congress since we celebrated our 110th anniversary, where it reflected on a number of topical issues, including development in the country. Most importantly, we did reflect on the recently held local government elections, dealt with issues that might have been a challenge that saw the ANC performing in the manner that it did. We took stock of the new lessons learned out of that and were able to then say, these are the things that we need to be doing going forward. We also had reflected on the situation of our staff. We had spoken about a number of issues that are out there in the public. Of course, we're also planning for this Lekgotla, which is really a platform that allows us to also review the work of government as it relates to the implementation of our own 2019 manifesto. We made a number of promises to our people in terms of how we're going to make their lives better. Of course, we are focused. We have divided ourselves now into different commissions, one dealing with economic recovery and reconstruction, as well as the provision of basic services to all citizens, and building a social compact around unemployment and poverty. All right. Defending the gains of our constitution and democratic South Africa, an effective and credible developmental state with focus on local government and working for the African agenda in the better world.
Mr. Mabe, while you do this,
govern and guide the work that we are doing in government as the governing party in South Africa. Yeah,
while you do this, there's also been a very public spat between President Cyril Ramaphosa and Minister Lindiwe Sisulu. Will you be discussing this issue?
Well, the African National Congress will never convene a meeting to discuss utterances made by its individual members out in the public. Of course, it can reflect if those positions are in conflict with positions that the movement will have pronounced itself on previously. When the NEC, all cadres that were there would have robustly raised their own issues. We even took a decision that because the issues that we dealt with in the NEC are almost similar with what we were attending to in the Lekgotla, we had said that we will issue one consolidated statement at the end of the Lekgotla, which then reflects on the decisions of the National Executive Committee, but also then deals with some of the programmatic interventions that the movement would have really adopted coming out of the Lekgotla. I can tell you now, it's quite a robust Lekgotla. We are all focused, one, on dealing with the question of unemployment, addressing growing levels of poverty in our country, but also dealing with the elephant in the room of inequality.
Mr. Mabe, but what is the ANC's take on what has transpired between the two this week? Because the ANC has previously come and said that, you know, the judiciary itself should be allowed to do its work. And this now, from what we're seeing, the tit-for-tat that we saw between President Cyril Ramaphosa and Minister Sisulu seemed to be very much about that discontent that the presidency says it was unhappy with the remarks that were made by Minister Sisulu. What's the ANC stance on that?
Well, the ANC has already pronounced itself on matters that deal with the judiciary. We support the independence of the judiciary. We have actually come out to even encourage our members that where they have got views, the organization has got sufficient platforms to allow every member, regardless of their standing and stature in the organization, to use appropriate platforms of organization to be able to ventilate on those. It could be that as they raise these issues, they also work or serve to enrich how we engage as the organization. Seeing that we are even working or planning towards our public policy conference and ultimately that seminal occasion of the 55th National Conference of the ANC, which is expected to take place this December. I mean, conferences of the ANC, by their very nature, are festivals of ideas.
Yeah.
And we always encourage our members and individual leaders to use those platforms, including platforms leading up to those conferences, to be able to express themselves and enrich how the organization does their work. What we are not going to be doing really, President, is to feed into a media narrative that suggests a spat. We do not believe that there was a public spat. We know that.
But it was a tit for tat, Mr. Mabe. You can't shy away from that. It was a tit for tat between the ANC president and a very high-ranking minister, Lindiwe Sisulu.
I'm going to leave the media to make its own interpretation of what would have happened out there.
There are some reports, Mr. Mabe. Some reports on calls by some ANC NEC officials for the minister to be disciplined. Has that come up as well?
No. If you have got people in the NEC who whisper things to you, it is not my job as the national spokesperson of the ANC to come and validate whispers. I don't do that. My job really is to communicate that which the organization has taken. There is no way that a self-respecting organization like the African National Congress will spend 2 days discussing an individual NEC member. We've got a lot of things. The people of South Africa are looking for jobs. We have suffered a lot.
But I'm sure you would agree with me, Mr. Pule. I'm sure you would agree with me, Mr. Mabe, that the reflection that it gives to ordinary South Africans, this is the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa and a very high-ranking Minister Lindiwe Sisulu in a public tit-for-tat. Statements in the middle of the night, one denying that there was an apology, one saying that there was an apology over an attack on the judiciary.
Well, I'm not the spokesperson in government. I don't speak for government departments. The statements you are referring to seems to be coming somewhere from offices of the state. I'm not in the state. You are welcome to invite spokespersons of government to come and speak for that. I speak for the ANC. And our message is simple. We call on all our deployees in government at all times to present and canvass or drive forward messages that show our people that we are one organization, exist as one, and lead as one, even in government. That has always been what the ANC has come out to reiterate all the time. Now, fast forward to the issues that are being dealt with at the Lekgotla. Because somebody sitting out in Zingin Venda, or somebody sitting out in Palabora, out in Limpopo, or somebody sitting in Botshabelo, or somebody sitting in Randfontein, what they want to hear us say is that these are the programs and interventions that we are going to foster to be able to resolve the situation that they are finding themselves in. One of unemployment, one of inequality, and all of that, and all the other things that are really a concern to our people. So as the African National Congress, we have taken a decision that at all times we'll make sure that when we speak to yourselves in the media, what we drive out there is messages that assure matriculants who have just emerged from these examinations, who have just received their results, that the South Africa that we are going to grow up in is one where opportunities will be available for them to be able to unleash the best of their potential.
ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe, thank you very much indeed. While you do that, I'm sure we can't shy away as well from some of the utterances that have been taking place over this past week. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on the program.